What happened?
Happening again, obviously. Kiro, are you there? Kiro, are you there?
Yeah, she's out.
Guy, what happened?
Kiro got
No,
frozen.
I yang
the
terkeluar.
countdown tu dah habis tiba-tiba gambar Kiro macam tu.
Oh, okay. I pun terkeluar tadi. Sorry.
I'm a bit worried the same thing will happen to Kiro because every time kita buat dry run ni, Kiro have
This
been
is
has
important.
been
Ya,
having
tak stable kan.
yeah. Hello tech support.
How do we solve
Okay.
this tech support?
We hope for the best lah.
Should we unlive ourselves? I don't know if that's
But
word.
if we end the broadcast, then have to generate a new link.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
why
right.
don't end the broadcast lah.
Toilet break.
That's why you put us.
Me. Sorry.
No problem. Okay, Kiru's back.
Right, sorry guys, suddenly I got disconnected. Minta ampun ya. Okay, are we gonna do this again?
Just continue lah kot, I think.
Yeah, okay. Hello and a very good day to all of you. A warm welcome to everyone to our second Melta Negeri Sembilan chapter live webinar. Our chapter has just banded together earlier this year, and we hope that these webinars will pave the way to more collaborations and informative discussions for the benefit of English language educators across Negeri Sembilan and beyond. I'm Kirubashini Nadarajan from the Melta Negeri Sembilan chapter, and I'll be your moderator for today. Before we begin today's webinar, please spare me a few minutes to make a few important announcements regarding our session. Today's webinar will be conducted in two parts. We shall begin with our Real Talk, Real Teachers webinar, followed by a question and answer session. For the question and answer session later, if you have any questions for the speaker, please type in your questions in the comment section please type in your questions in the comment section in our YouTube live video. This comment section is located at the bottom of your screen. So if you have any questions or anything you'd like to share about our topic, do hit the comment button and type away. Before we start, here are some gentle reminders for you. Please use a stable internet connection for optimum viewing. Since this is a live video on YouTube, viewers can post questions in the comment section, and the question and answer session will be opened after the presentation session ends. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin today's session, I would like to invite the Vice Chapter Leader for Melta Negeri Sembilan Chapter, Puan Yasmin Leong, to give her welcoming speech. Hello, Puan Yasmin.
Hello, hi. I'm Miss Yasmin from Melta Negeri Sembilan chapter. Thank you for having me today. It's such a great honor to share this thing with the two inspiring teachers. I hope this webinar will benefit everyone who joined tonight. So please enjoy, have fun.
Right. Thank you, Puan Yasmin, for the heartwarming welcome. It's a pleasure to have you with us today. Well, for those of you wondering what FINCO is all about, FINCO is actually the Financial Industry Collective Outreach, a collaboration initiative pioneered by all financial institutions in Malaysia, with the support of Bank Negara Malaysia. FINCO's biggest goal is to provide underprivileged children and youth with the guidance and educational tools they need to achieve life goals. Well, to have a better understanding about FINCO, today with me, I have the CEO of FINCO to give us a clear view on FINCO. Hello, Miss Claire Walker. Good to have you with us today. How are you doing?
Hello. Yada.
You are definitely the best person to enlighten us about FINCO. So do tell me what FINCO is all about.
I don't know.
All right. So now we are more clear about this. What about the HIP FINCO Outstanding Teacher Award? Can you describe to us what the competition is all about? Well, I heard that there are HIP FINCO schools. So can you briefly tell us more about that and how many schools are involved and what kind of programs are carried out? Okay, and then yada yada. Well, thank you so much, Miss Claire Walker. It was indeed an eye-opener for most of us about FinCo. I'm guessing teachers would be more alert and would love to explore on the programs organized by FinCo in the near future. Well, it was really great having you with us. Thanks again for joining. Ladies and gentlemen, in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, the new norm of restrictions, quarantine, and social distancing have altered our usual face-to-face activities. We have since dived into uncharted waters of online remote learning. Teachers across the nation are now creatively adapting to the new educational norm of remote online teaching. We have heard many stories of how Malaysian teachers have walked the extra mile to adapt and ensure continuous quality education for their pupils. Now, from blended learning to technology-rich lessons, teachers now have to be innovative in circumventing the challenges to our new educational norm. Well, today we are very fortunate to have us this evening not one, but three special guest speakers who are the winners of HIP FinCo Outstanding Teacher Award for the year 2020. Our first speaker is Miss Maizatul Sarah Yusof, an English language teacher from SK Desa Cempaka Nilai, and the second runner-up for the medium high-tech lesson. Miss Rauda is our second speaker for today. She is an English language teacher from SK Bukit Rokan Utara, Tampin, and is the first prize winner for the low-tech lesson. Our third speaker is none other than Mr. Khairi Fakhri, an English language teacher from SK Amar Penghulu Jelebu. He is the first prize winner for the HIP FinCo Award. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you our speakers, Sarah, Rauda, and Khairi. Good evening to all of you and congratulations again. I am definitely happy and honored.
Thanks, Kiro.
Thanks, Kiro. Good evening.
Correct.
Glad to be here.
Good evening. I am definitely happy and honored to have all of you here today. So thank you very much for spending and sparing your time with us today. Well, I don't want to waste much time. Without further ado, we shall move on straight to our session, as I'm sure everyone is very eager to hear so much from you on the topic today. Okay, I need to take note. I didn't mention the title. I must have missed it somewhere in my script.
Oh yeah.
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 Oh, God.
No, I'll add on later. Just take note for me, please, just in case if I forget. Okay, so now, how did you come across or find out about this competition in the first place? Now, how did any of you came across? Sarah?
Sarah.
Sorry, my mic was on mute.
Okay, no worries.
I'll just answer that for everyone. Thank you for asking, Kiru. So
No
it's
problem.
funny that because we're all from the same state, basically, I think I speak for myself, Rauda and Khairi, and also Kiru, that we got to know about this competition through our Telegram group with our state language officer from Jabatan in Negeri Sembilan. And also, it also came across in my school Telegram feed. And I think when teachers who are watching this want to know more about competitions like this, I think they should be aware of any officers or school administrators who share this in any group.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. I totally agree with you as well. Well, it is really important to actually be aware as well and stay alert. And it's also thanks to our officers that we are actually aware of, whatever competitions that are taking place, and how encouraging and supportive they were to actually point out about these competitions taking place. Well, now, have any of you worked along with FinCo before this on any program or competition? Now, as for me, this was something new, and I actually got some insights about FinCo after speaking to the CEO just a while ago.
Yeah. Hi, Kiru. Just like what
Hi,
Miss
Kiru.
Walker told us just now. Okay. My school is part of the HIP FinCo schools.
Oh,
So
that's interesting, Kyrie.
yeah, actually, I've never heard about Finco before, but then just early last year, I think on March, yeah, we got a calling letter about an
Mhm.
outreach by Finco. They want to do a program with us or a training, something like that. At first, I was like, oh, what's this? But then as we began the training with them, and I think it's a very beneficial exposure for the teachers and also the students
Mhm.
because we never thought that anyone would reach out to a kampung school like us to do any program or any trainings. So it was definitely uh, I've heard of I just heard about Finco like early last year, but then just like Sarah, I heard about the competition from our state officer. But then I've gone to one of their trainings lah with Finco, Negeri Sembilan Activator, Miss Iman. Yeah. So yeah, that's
Nice.
how.
So it was indeed a great start for you to actually, get to know about Finco and then furthermore join this competition as well. So just to know more about this, that you said your school was part of the Finco program. So was this like a short-term program or is it a long-term program? And did you go looking for Finco or was you a selected school?
Yeah, actually, like I said before, we've never heard of Finco before. So actually, we just got just one day we got a letter endorsed by by KPM and also JPNS stating that okay, we need English language teachers from your school to come into the training, blah blah blah, something like that. So that's what happened lah. And then from then on, we start going on to their professional development training, and also actually they were supposed to come to our school and
Mm-hmm.
conduct an activity fair, but then because of the social distancing restriction and such, so they don't allow visitors anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we're just working on establishing a reading corner in our school with
Nice.
the help of Finco.
Nice,
So
nice.
yeah.
It's a great effort coming from them as well as from schools as well. Well, I'm sure it's a great opportunity for your school as well. Getting themselves involved in this program. Well, thank you so much, Kyrie, your view on this. Well, coming to the most interesting part, what were the challenges faced learning in the new norm, and how did you come up with an interesting lesson for your students? And based on your lesson, in your opinion, which part of your lesson do you think that your students actually enjoyed the most, or probably you assumed, not to say assumed, that you think it was interesting for them? Rauda, what's your take on this?
Mm.
Thanks, Kiro. Do
Don't
I have to
mention.
share my screen again? Because it says here I already share my screen. Or Arif will share it for me.
Okay, I have. All right.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Arif. All right. Hello, Kiro.
Hi,
Good
Rauda.
evening. And Assalamualaikum everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Smelta Negeri Sembilan chapter for having me today. It's such a great honor to share the same room with the two inspiring colleagues, Ms. Sarah and Mr. Khairi, together with you, Kiro, who always look warm and cheerful as always. Before I go further and deeper, I would like to clarify that this is not the only best practice. Instead, I reckon our teachers had geared up their effort and creativity to maintain the high standards of learning during this virtual mode, during this challenging period. That's why I regard my submission to Finco as a journey of self-reflection, because I believe this submission is actually a consolidation of every pieces or every bit that I pick along the way. So this is not the best practice. However, this is one of the elements or the values that I learned over my journey to become a better teacher, hopefully. So anyway, my name is Rauda. I'm teaching in currently servicing in Sekolah Kebangsaan Kerokan Utara. It is a Felda school. So if you're about to drive from Seremban town to here, it will take around 2 hours to arrive. Basically, our school composition, it consists of approximately 200 students
Okay.
with 20 teachers. Yep, that's the geographical or the setting of my school actually. So
Nice.
I would say most of the students come from medium to low socioeconomic status. So I bet every teachers in this room who come from similar background can relate to my lesson.
Can-
Okay, so back to the questions, what are the challenges that I faced during the MCO? Okay, let's bear in mind this happened during April or March. Yeah, we had our first hit, it was March. So everyone
Correct.
was so blurred and like having less clues what to do, how do we engage with the student, how do we keep the engagement. So my concern at that time, how do I maintain my teaching and learning process with the optimum participation from my students? Because I had this one conversation with my students. I asked her who gonna help her at home. I'm like, who help her at home? Who supervise her homework? And because what I know, she was staying with her grandparents. Her parents were staying in Kedah, and
Okay.
she replied that it's all her aunts who actually staying in KL. So I was a little bit surprised because along the process it involved a lot of people, the grandparents, the parents, and the aunts. And I asked her who bought the handphone for her, and she told me that it was her uncle. So you see, at this point, I just realized that everyone was getting involved in the process. So it is something like um, it is something like what do we call a sudden realization for me that I need to get everyone involved in the process so I can get maximum participation from the students again. So that is how I describe my lesson as a whole school approach, which it involved the
Okay.
stakeholders other than teachers. It was probably the parents, my school administrators, and also the other school subject teachers. And together with that, I also have to consider what are the materials that I'm going to provide with for the students and what are the medium which is the most accessible at that time. Okay, so the first element that I integrated is actually to have a primary slide for every lesson. In this primary slide, it is necessary for me to include the objective, because only then my student can keep up to the lesson and they know how to work on it. So they will find the way how to fulfill the objective that I set earlier. So in a way that I'm asking them to be an individual and independent learner. Because teaching English is like a daily lesson, right, Kiro? So,
Yes, very true.
yep. So, they must acquire something beyond the subject content, which I'm trying my best to instill. At least you have to possess responsibility towards the end of my classes. So, by include the objective of the lesson on the particular day, I hope that my students can work on it. Like you need to okay. So where did I learn to have primaries, right, for each lesson? Is actually from one of English teacher. in Putrajaya. I would call she is an educational rock star, and you can search her on Facebook by Nazira Rosli. So
Nazira
she,
Rosli. Okay.
yeah, she got a lot of interesting activities that you could adapt and adopt for your lesson. Next, for this lesson, actually, I assign my students to do an extended writing, which one of it I asked them to include facial expression or just like expression. How do you feel today? So when I design the activity, I should be aware that they need something to refer, which is most probably something that close to them. At that point, I'm fully aware that I already distributed this chart. I call this as a feeling chart. They pasted in their writing book. So when I ask them to write, they can always refer. So whenever I assign the task, it has to be something valid in terms of they can always find their resources. So yeah.
Something easily accessible for them.
Yes, exactly. So they feel like motivated. They feel like motivated to accomplish the task. Okay.
Correct.
Yep. So next, I use WhatsApp for. I could say that 70% I use WhatsApp because I believe WhatsApp is the most accessible medium that I could reach.
Social. Correct. Social app,
Yes,
as most of
social
them has
app.
it. Mhm.
Yes, exactly. That's like a very the basic tools that everyone should have installed
Yes.
in the handphone.
Correct.
So I use WhatsApp, and by using WhatsApp, we can always sending text, and photos. I prefer to deliver all the messages in a form of photos. As you can see here, I what I did is actually I downloaded all the materials, or I downloaded their submission to me. So I edit through my PowerPoint, and I include the text and the feedback stickers. Um, so they can read better what I'm trying to comment. So then they will send the correction to me back through WhatsApp again. So everything was done through WhatsApp, and I prefer to use PowerPoint so I could easily edit and give comments to it. Next
Nice.
is I integrated personalized feedback, like what you need to improve, what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses. So afterward, they need to come back to me again with the corrections, so I can see I can record in the learning journal what so who participated, who not. So in a way that I can track the attendance on that day. Uh, Next, right now I have two rooms. First,
You have
the home
two rooms.
room. Yes.
Okay.
First is the home room, which it consists of the parents and the guardians. Unlike this one, in this group, there are my students. On this, the students, which it provide is like a less rigid conversation. It more like
Informal.
informal conversation, very one. We can have like one-to-one chit chat, and when I correct one student, it gives the ripple effect to the other students. So no, okay, this is what your friend did. I don't want you to repeat this again. So it's like killing two birds with one
It's
stone.
one stone. Okay. Now, my question here would be is, do you have all your students in that one particular chat room, or you go by class?
I go by class. I taught 3 classes,
Okay.
so I go by class.
So that means, okay, every class you have 2 rooms, 2 rooms, 2 rooms.
Unfortunately, I thought that time I thought year 1, 4, and 5. Unfortunately, I didn't have it for year 1. Obviously, they don't have handphone. I think they don't have handphone. But for year 4 and year 5, yes, we did converse in the in this
WhatsApp. Mhm.
separate group. Separate group. Yes, WhatsApp.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. Next, I did a survey. This was done in the middle of the
MCO period.
MCO.
Okay.
Yep. Uh, sorry, Kiro. I
It's
don't know what
okay.
to do. So I'm pretty sure that every teachers you conducted like early survey, asking parents about their readiness, what are the reference medium that most accessible to you. But I took uh one step, I would say like one extra effort just to reach at the middle. So how do you feel? How do you feel about remote learning? Asking the parents whether they can facilitate or not. So
Mhm.
I asked two options. The first one, I include the parents as a facilitator, but for the second one, on teachers is only the facilitator
Mhm.
because when we uh, w- from this survey, what I analyze is most of the parents realize that they have to be the mediator for me between me and my students.
The kids.
Only
Mhm.
then they feel I'm not saying only then. They don't feel no, they are not obliged actually. It's just me asking them for a favor to become my mediator for the students because that's the only way that I could reach to the kids. So most of them agree that they have to be the mediator, which I'm so fortunate and thankful for that. Um, so as a result, I could reach 70% of them, but the
Mhm.
30% of them were absent from my class. I need to I need to reassign the work after the school opening and asking them again to do the in the writing book, which those people who missed my lesson during the MCO, there were actually few of them. Next is this is a survey conducted by my by the homeroom teacher, which
Mhm.
this teacher he asked uh, the um, satisfaction on we teachers assigning the task, like uh how the amounts of tasks every day, because in my school we have like, okay, one day we have one subject. So how do you feel about that? Because we are flexible, so
Mhm.
we can always go with changes, whatever you feel that is most appropriate at that time. We are flexible. So this survey actually very helpful for me as well, because I know how they feel, because sometimes they don't want to reach to me because maybe I was an outsider. So they reached to the homeroom teacher, or the homeroom teacher reached to them, which is very helpful, the result of it. Next is
Okay.
the positive notes to send home. I got this from teacher Yvonne, who's teaching in Ranau, Kundasang. She
Mhm.
shared on the Facebook. You can download this on Teachers Pay,
Teachers
uh,
pay. All right. I
Teachers
shall take
Pay,
down.
Hollywood TPT, and also Cupcake for Teachers. It's all free. You just include the word free, and you
You.
can download it anytime.
Mhm.
So how do I go about this? It is daily, like daily distribution. I distribute to my student at the end of the lesson, saying that what they did actually, what they accomplished at that day, what they achieved on the particular day. So they will bring this note home, asking the parents to sign. So in a way that I'm telling the parents what the kids achieve on the particular day, and also in a way that I'm thanking the parents, getting them involved in my lessons, so they know what the development of the students, the development of the kids. All right.
Nice.
Last one. The I distribute certificate for the parents to say that how I'm being grateful and thankful again, because Kiro, they were being very responsive, very
Mm-hmm.
cooperative with me. Like once I shoot the message in the group, they were like respond it right away. So it kept me motivating also. At the same time, they keep like update with me with the students' progress, and I feel obliged. Thank them, so I come up with the idea to generate a certificate of appreciation for them. Um, as a result, surprisingly, I managed to get a whole, even with this class particularly, for Google Meet attendance, like 80 to 70% of them every time I conduct a Google Meet. So
Google Meet.
this is like, yeah, this is the result of every, as I mentioned earlier, this is like every piece of that I pick along the journey. So towards the end, I can see the result that they're still being cooperative with me until today. So yes, I feel so thankful and grateful for them, especially the parents. Uh, I would like to end my sharing today is actually there is this one African proverb. It says that it takes a village to raise a kid. So in my situation,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I have to get a hold of the parents, the subject teachers, the homeroom teachers, my school administrator, for me to provide the maximum engagement with the students. Only then they won't miss out any lesson. We still can keep up with any changes or any obstacles that coming in the future. So yep,
Yep.
looking forward to this.
Well, I can see how enthusiastic you are, Rauda, and I'm lost of words here right now. Well, from what you have explained, I can really see that you have put in much thought. You have put in a lot of effort, in your lessons, and I like how you got your students, parents to be involved, and as what you say, it is very important during these times that. Uh, Everyone's involvement is important, or else I don't see the lesson taking place, or we cannot see the lesson taking place. And I like how you actually acknowledged their involvement, and you were giving them certificates. So great job, and I would definitely check on those websites that you mentioned for all those free templates, and probably actually use some of it in my classrooms as well. Well, thank you so much, Rauda, for
Thank
sharing.
you.
And Kyrie, what is your view on this as well? Hi, Kyrie.
Sarah, like I told before, Sarah, back to normal. Okay.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Okay. Okay, so Sarah, what is your view on this?
Hi, Kiro. First of all, I'd like to thank Malta Negeri Sembilan chapter for having me. I'm very honored to be here. But again, like Rauda said, I'm just a teacher trying to make it in the real world. I think everyone now is trying their best to professionally develop. And if you go on Facebook or any type of social media, you can see all these teacher tutorials on how to um, do this and do that. So
Yep, I
uh,
think everyone is working wonders right now. Uh,
yeah, and I just want to congratulate everyone for doing their best. Uh,
definitely.
yeah. So basically, I'll give you a background of my school. Sekolah Kebangsaan Desa Cempaka. We are located in Nilai. So I would say it's pretty much an urban school, as it's
Mm-hmm.
located in the heart of Nilai, and we are also bordering Selangor. We have
Okay.
some students from Salak Tinggi, Nilai itself. Yeah, so um, we have around 1,300 students. So it's a large
Wow.
school.
It's
We
in a
have two
huge
sections.
number.
Yes, it's a huge school. We've got around 80 plus teachers. And luckily, coming from a big school, like Raudah mentioned, she had the homeroom teacher conducting surveys with parents. I was lucky coming from a big school. I had two counselors to help. So what
Okay,
they did
nice.
was they conducted surveys for parents and asked them what the best medium that they thought would be best to reach out to the kids for home-based learning. Okay, so um, background, a little background about my class. Particularly, this is for Dahlia, the lesson
Oh, Dahlia.
submission that I sent in. So they have like around 35 pupils in this class, 15 boys and 20 girls. And it's also streamed because this is actually the first out of two DLP classes. And out of 35 classes, there are only 3 DLP classes.
Out of
So only
35.
yes, so
Okay.
only these 3 classes are streamed, unlike the others. And then so this is them learning before the MCO, and then one problem that I found challenging was getting students participation, and not necessarily in this class, but for every class
Overall
I
as well.
teach. Yeah, for like I think obviously one size does not fit all. Like I would have to adapt from I teach 2 year 4 classes, and then they're different in their own way. So for
Yes,
example,
definitely.
for Dahlia, fortunately, most of them have gadgets. However, they do have a problem of sharing gadgets among siblings, and there are pupils who don't have a gadget and rely on their parents' gadgets. So
Now, that is a very common problem that teachers are facing actually right now.
yeah, I know
So,
it's a problem for me as well because I would want to contact them, and I wanted to be able to reach the maximum number of pupils as any teacher would. So what I did
definitely.
with for Dahlia, because they preferred Google Meet, what I did with them was contacted the parents who had this problem. Like they weren't working from home, they had to physically attend work. And then the students who needed to rely on their parents' gadgets, I asked them what would be the best time. And so we came up with having night classes. So we ended up
You actually
having
had
classes.
night classes?
Yeah, so we ended up having classes at 8:30, which we thought was the optimum time for everyone, including me and the students, and for the parents as well.
So,
So
were you able to get maximum attendance when you were having night classes?
because I've doing this at a convenient time, I was able to get around like 90 to 100%
Oh, nice.
attendance. However, it didn't start off that way. It started off like at maybe 70 to 80%, but which I think is still a high number of
You
attendance.
did get, yep, okay.
Yeah, so I was lucky on that part. And also, when talking about practicality, I always believe that we should always go back to basics. Like we know that every student has a student's book, and for
Yep.
my school particularly, they have already purchased the workbook in the beginning of the year. So I work with these materials that I know that the students have, and I also um, add on like materials that help um, aid their learning. For
They're learning.
example, yes, for example, the audio and visual inserts that would come with the textbook. What I do is I just search for them on YouTube, and I would like to thank all these Mrs. Madam Gunn's classroom and Cikgu Sheh and Justine Tan's channel that do share these kind of things, and it's convenient for me and for the pupils because
Pupils.
almost everyone can access YouTube. And then it's also easy for me to share it as a tab in my Google Meet sessions. So getting students to participate in the class, for example, I would use quick scans. So like in our physical classroom, we would be using mini whiteboards and traffic lights. So for this instance, I'm using mini whiteboards. So this is my attempt, earlier attempts to be using the 21st century skills in my Google Meet classrooms. As you can see, the students are displaying
Displaying the answers.
their answers. Yeah, this is a comprehension lesson, and then there are like so many. You have to squint your eyes to see some of them. Some of them, I mean, for a physical
Some of them, yeah, some of
for
them look camera shy, like they don't seem to
yeah,
be
yeah.
sharing.
So in our normal class, we would be able to provide them with the materials that they need.
Materials.
For instance, those who don't have a mini whiteboard or for whiteboard markers, we would be able to provide to them these things. However, in a classroom, in a virtual classroom, we would have to work with what we had. So some of them I used paper and pencil, which wasn't quite as effective as I thought. And if you see one of the students, his name is Fawaz, he's actually trying to lift up an actual size whiteboard because he didn't have a mini
Oh,
whiteboard. So
really? Oh,
it's very funny. And however, it's nice to see that they have the effort of participating.
it's
So
them wanting to actually answer and be part of the lesson as well.
yes. So when we talk about quick scans, I could also talk about how we could use things that we have. Like, for instance, in the class, we would have created traffic lights that they could use to show that they don't understand. But why not use things that are already available, like body parts? So, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, if you see this Google Meet with another class, I'm doing Would You Rather. So would you rather would only have two options. So they could either touch their nose to show the first option or cover their ears for the second option. So would you rather eat cake or eat ice cream? So these are things that I do in my class to make sure that everyone participates, especially if they can turn on their cameras. So we are able to see students' involvement in the class. And when talking about accessibility, I mean, now we have to think about in class, we do think about differentiating for needs and abilities, but now we have to think about differentiating to people, to students, accessibility. Like some of them are not able to join into the Google Meet. So what we can do is, apart from the Google Meet, share the task or share the activities that we have done in their Google Classroom, for instance. So here I have a screenshot of the Google Classroom and in their WhatsApp group, which they can also submit their work. However, I do prefer them to submit their work through WhatsApp personally, so that I'm able to provide feedback and show them how they have done personally. So when I do individual tasks, I try to make it autonomous in a sense of um, I would give one task to everyone. However, I would make it open. Like, I don't want to limit their creativity. So, for instance, here they're supposed to look up information on Tutankhamun and present the facts or 5 facts in the most creative way possible. So you can see that they are using any app they can, or they are just merely printing out the PowerPoint slides and creating and putting on costumes and such while presenting. So that was a way that I wanted to gauge their creativity.
So you really bring out the creativity in them, and since they are actually working on their own,
Yes.
you can really see how differently they think, and each and every one of them are different, and the way how they present are totally different, and
Yeah.
we are totally awed by actually whatever that they are presenting from.
Yeah, sometimes you'd be surprised by their creativity, because maybe like in the classroom, if we were to present things like this, they would be limited to, like manila card and um, colored markers. So that's all they
Yeah.
have to show their creativity. So this is
You
one of the benefits I find, that when they're at home, they have all these tools available. Like some students use apps like InShot to compile their video. Some
Mhm.
students took the time to decorate their PowerPoints, and some students just basically just told the story of Tutankhamun using what they have, the storytelling skills, with gestures and expressions, which I find
Yep.
very overwhelming.
True. Because from what I can see if it was in the classroom, they were just constrained to an hour's class, and that might probably just stop them from actually going a step ahead on doing whatever task which is given to them. But now that they are at home and things are going online, I feel that they are given the liberty, and they are free to express and do however they want, and there's no time limit for them, and they're able to actually produce or come up with very good product.
Yeah, and then I mean, for a teacher, any kind of involvement and effort on their part is like so heartwarming for us.
Definitely,
And
we are also happy, and as well they are also very happy to actually present to us. So
yes, I agree. And then so when they send in their submissions,
okay.
again, like I said, I prefer them to send it personally through WhatsApp. So when they send it personally, I am able to provide feedback. Again, differentiated feedback. So for instance, if pupils who are weak, I tend to focus on giving feedback more on their language, maybe their pronunciation. But maybe for more advanced pupils who do not have trouble with the language, I can focus on providing feedback on how they could refine the facts that they chose, or how they could make their presentation more organized and so forth. Okay, and again, I also, like Rauda, I also got this from the internet. I just download. I just look for for whatever I'm looking for, rubric for presentation, and then again I would add the word free at the end. Yeah, so this is from Teacher Pay Teachers, but this is
an expert
also
tip for all of us, not to forget the magic word free.
yeah, free. So this is from Teachers Pay Teachers. Despite the name of the website, this is one of the free rubric that I was able to get from the website. And I find that I see that Rauda has done an appreciation for her students and for her parents, like
Parents as well.
right, for providing certification. Well, I find that that's very interesting. But for me, I would find it difficult for parents to find the time to come and get. And then I have like around 30 to 40 students in each class.
Since yours was a much more bigger class, I think, compared
Yeah,
to
so-
Rauda's.
Yeah, so for me to provide a certification, and then when I give it to the guard, he has like tons of boxes of materials and modules for pupils to take home. So I'm not sure if it's gonna get lost in a whole pile of paper and books. So what I do is, since we're doing online learning, why not do online banking?
Banking. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So what I do is, I'll blur it out when we have the real presentation. Is
Okay.
every task, not every task, like maybe once every fortnight, I would have tasks where I would offer rewards, and it would be monetary. So it would be like prize money, and I'll give
Nice.
once I give feedback to everyone, then I would have to choose like the best 5 for me that I thought gave me their best. For instance, if I said I wanted them to focus on being clear, or I wanted them to focus on being creative, so I would choose based on the criteria that I told them to, and I'd look for these criteria, and depending on the task and the difficulty, I would set around 5 or 10 ringgit for each
Between 5 to
for
10
each
ringgit.
task. And I think this helps to motivate them sometimes when doing
That's
this
nice.
task.
That's nice. Now I can't wait to be a student.
So yeah, basically that's it, Kiru. That's what I do in my
Oh.
class, and I think it's not different from anyone else. Everyone is giving their best, and I hope that I have helped at least give 1 or 2 new ideas to other teachers.
You definitely did. Well, I believe as well that each and everyone is different, and each and everyone has different way of teaching. So none of them are doing it the wrong way, or we are all in part of a learning process as well. And You definitely came up with interesting ideas, Sarah, and I would definitely love to join your classes as well to just get that, ringgit voucher probably from you. Well,
Yeah,
thanks a
I'd love
lot.
to have you.
And definitely don't forget to send me that link when you have a Google Meet. I would love to join. So moving on, Kyrie, I would love to know more about things that you would like to share regarding your classroom as well.
Hello, Kiro.
Hi,
How are you?
Kyrie. Good, good.
Glad
How are
to be
you?
here. Okay. What was your question again?
My question was more on what were the challenges faced learning in the new norm, and how did you come up with an interesting lesson for your students? And what do you think was very interesting about your lessons, or probably your student liked in your lesson?
Okay, let me start again. Hi, Kiro. Okay, so I'm teaching in the mountainous rural outpost of Jelebu. So this is kind of like a little purview of my school.
School, nice,
You can
nice.
see it's in a rural,
I like how
very
you
rural.
have like a mini trailer running there. It's
So
your way of attracting us to Jelebu, I believe.
yes, please come to Jelebu.
Well, you
Okay.
definitely have a beautiful view of your school.
Yeah, oh, thank God. I look forward to this view every single morning. It's very foggy every morning. Um, Back to my school. Okay, just a little background on my school. It is actually a very small school, actually, SKM school, Sekolah Kurang Murid, just 115 pupils. And we have a minority of indigenous students here. And we all our classes comprises of mixed ability students,
Okay.
but most of them have low passing rate. Like I said, it's a rural school from Jelebu. You can see it from the video just now. Almost all of the pupils are from different villages. Okay,
Okay.
so of course, for my situation, I use a very low tech tool, which is WhatsApp, just like Miss Miss Sarah and also Miss Rauda. It's just that mine is a little bit basic. We use WhatsApp as a main medium. We have different chat groups for different subjects and different classes. So in each groups, actually, most of the students they don't have their own phone, so they would use their parents or maybe their neighbors. So most of the groups we have their parents' number, both their parents' numbers, and also just a few of them who has their own phone. Okay, so in the groups, I would give written instructions with some extra materials. I always love to put extra reference materials like flashcards or any videos from YouTube or any screenshots or pages that I scan. So mine would vary. Sometimes I use textbook materials, sometimes non-textbook materials. Okay. Um, this is a sample of the live one-on-one lesson. Okay, so after I give them instruction in the group, later I will follow up with them. Actually, I will follow up one by one personally.
You
With
actually do it one by one and not as a whole class.
Yeah, actually, because each of them they would have their own questions, their own query about their work and such. So it becomes more personalized. I have to cater to them like individually. Uh,
Okay.
so so that's what I had to do. Um, some of the problems that I faced was limited gadget, like I said before. Most of them they use their parents' phone, and sometimes we have like one phone and five schooling siblings, so they share their mom's phone
Mom.
between themselves. So sometimes they have to wait for their parents to come back home, then they can look at the WhatsApp and look at their work or any homework that I gave. So among the issues were limited gadgets and of course internet connection. Since they live in rural outposts, only a few of them live in Pekan Kelawang, so most of them
Okay.
would have problems in internet connection. So we expected some pending responses and participations. During the MCO, what happened was I would give the instruction in the morning and the reference materials and such, but then all the questions and the follow-up would happen in the afternoon, at night, in the weekends. I was working day and night actually, around the clock.
Around the clock. Yes, I was about to say that. 24/7. Mhm.
Yeah, but then yeah, that's what I have to do due to their predicament, because they don't have immediate access, and most of them have limited access to technology, and sometimes they have problems on how to submit and such. So usually I will ask them to upload it on my personal chat. That's how things become one-on-one. Okay.
One-on-one.
So among the strengths that I can identify from my lesson is that I use exemplars. It's kind of like a visual on the expected end product. Like for the lesson that I submitted for the competition, actually, it's about um, drawing your family members and then using a few sentences, writing a few sentences to describe your family members. So I would an exemplar to them, and then I would list just a small list, like 4 to 3 items on the success criteria. So if you don't know, success criteria is something that a list of things that we want them to achieve, like
Achieve.
something. Your work must have at least two people, or your work must have at least 2 sentences, and then you must use have got. At that time, I was teaching year 3, if I'm not mistaken. They must use the phrase have got. So your mom has got black hair, for example. So they must use that. So when I listed out the success criteria, it definitely helps a lot in catering to them, so that they can check. Okay, do I have this? Do I have this? So it's kind of like a checklist of what their work has to be like. So yeah, exemplars, success criteria, and mine was, like I said, the one-on-one chat, very personalized, because it's every feedback is unique to each pupil's progress. So like maybe Ali, he's a bit advanced. I would give him an extra task for enrichment, but then Imran was a bit um, taking his own time. It's still okay. I still follow up with them day and night, as long as they reply. And the expectations are much more personalized. I saw that some of my pupils during when we had the face-to-face interaction in classroom, they were very shy. They were uh, very not they don't participate much in
Passive.
classroom. Yeah, a bit passive. But then when I did this, I saw that some of them they put a real effort in learning. I can see that, oh, actually they really want to learn. They put real effort. They constantly ask me questions, and I would reply them, and then they would amend their work, improve and improve. So there was an upside to this online remote learning. Actually, I got to see that part of them that I haven't had to
To see when you had a
experience,
face-to-face
because
class with them.
yeah, because in face to face you have like you have your peers, so maybe they were a bit shy. Maybe things get a bit tense and competitive, so they tend to just back off, something like that. But
Okay.
then when it becomes personalized like this, it's just between the teacher and the student. I give the instruction in the group, but then the whole session, the whole
It's done
progress
one to
was
one.
so they will have it's kind of like a safe space between the teacher and the student, so they won't feel threatened. They will feel less intense. Plus, the method that I used was asynchronous, which is much more learner pace. So the difference between asynchronous and asynchronous means that synchronous means it's real time, which it happens live. So like right now, it's happening live. But
Live.
then asynchronous means it's not sync, it's not live. But then uh, based on the situation in my classroom, I think this mode is much suitable for them, because due to the limited gadget, internet connection, accessibility, those kind of stuff. Plus, they also take their own time to absorb and answer questions. So it makes the lesson quite learner pace. And then according to their own time, because sometimes they have to wait for their mom to come back home at night, then they can look at the phone. So at their own time, at their own convenience, which makes it a very learner pace, a very learner centered learning. That's why I saw the different outcome when it comes to remote learning
Then
to face. So yeah, that's what I did for the lesson.
remote learning lesson. So very, very interesting as well. And I think all three of you were different and you all had your own ways. And yours was almost similar with Rauda, that you had WhatsApp lessons taking on, but yours was more personalized where it went one-to-one. So I think it all comes down to, catering for your students. You know your students best, and you know how to actually carry out your lessons for students, and you went according to their pace and their timing. So, and definitely a very great effort coming from you, where you did mention since you had to do this asynchronous way of teaching your students, you had to work around the clock, right? So that's
I
that's
think most
truly
of us, most teachers,
I would agree. I would definitely.
Yeah, time was
So,
abstract.
definitely, yes, it was definitely an abstract. So I think everyone had their own way of teaching as well, and it works best for their students. And we are still learning and trying out new things to see if this works best for our students. So everyone is striving for their best. Well, thank you so much, Khairi, for your sharing session as well. Well, moving on now, what are you looking forward to doing after this, now that you have won the competition, and what will be your next step? So Sarah, what is your view on this, Sarah?
Mike.
Do they have an order for this?
Yeah.
Who's gonna start first, me?
Okay,
Was
hi.
Sorry. Do they? Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm just going like inky pinky ponky.
Yesterday was you.
I
You want
thought
me
you
to
were
start first?
with Khairi. Okay, sorry. So,
Okay. Do you guys want me to go on an order in this, or I can just shoot this question to anyone?
You can
I think
just shoot.
okay je, tapi tadi I wasn't ready. Sorry.
Okay, you better be ready on the real day.
I will.
Okay, so right, okay, you carry on lah, Sarah.
Okay. So last year was my first time entering this competition called the I Can School Challenge. What's interesting about this competition is that it encourages pupils to be leading the team. So for me, I would be just the facilitator. So I would be just managing their registration or facilitating group discussions. So they would work around a problem that they find troubled them, and they would come up with their own solutions and also come up with ways to overcome this problem. and in using their own discussion, and then I would just be there just to help them mediate
Yeah.
maybe with other parties. And I find that these kids are actually capable of running on their own, and we're just here to help them. So I
Mhm.
find that this year 2021 I would want to make my HIP in school more student driven. So we have an Instagram account. So I want the kids to run it on their own. And
Nice.
we have 2 or 3 projects lined up for next year, which also we want the kids to be the leaders. So what we would do is just to facilitate them.
Nice. You seem to be on the go, Sarah, having all these programs lined up, and it's interesting how you actually give your students to do everything. So they have the liberty of deciding, of coming up with whatever programs or discussion that they have to do. And I think through that they are able to actually grow and develop themselves.
Yeah,
So
so like we want them to be able to produce the language. So why not just let them immerse in that environment where they have to use the language, right? So
yes.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I thought you guys were the button. All right. Never mind. Okay. So,
Yeah, I
Kyrie.
love Sarah's work on her way forward. I think it's actually quite profound that you gave that kind of exposure to your student. International exposure is something that you really got the chance, can. So it's kind of in a million chance, and I think I really admire that Miss Sarah walk the
I
extra mile to get that exposure
Yeah.
for pupils. That is something very amazing.
I was
Round of
thinking of
applause,
no, I was thinking of sharing
Miss Sarah.
the pictures of my student punya ni lah, so
I
that
can
I
see
just
Sarah blushing already.
back up because I'm hot. I can't turn on the
Okay,
air conditioning.
okay. Can I talk about mine?
Yeah. Carry on.
Okay,
Yeah.
because
So.
mine was a bit localized, a bit basic je lah, but then not like Sarah. But then it's just because what you say is based on your students' pace and what they need. So
Capability and yep.
based on the issues that I have found during the lesson, so I made like, can I share my screen now?
Yeah.
Like this one, I realized that online remote learning, when I did that, some of it didn't reach a few indigenous pupils because some of them, they don't have WhatsApp, their parents doesn't have a phone, or sometimes they rely on their neighbor's phone to get any information. So we have that kind of external variable. So what I did was I made it into blended learning. So just like Miss Rauda, I put in physical books and modules for them to bring home, and so this will be something ready to use for them. So whenever we had to go back to online remote learning, like last year we had to close the school again, so we fully utilize this. So it becomes a blended learning where instruction and feedbacks are still on WhatsApp, but then they do the work on the given workbook or modules. Okay, and then I also tried to do something synchronous, like Miss Sarah's using Google Meet. Yeah, actually, this one is not like a class. This one is like an extracurricular activity. What we did was I invited people from PNB Paribas, which is a financial institute from Kuala Lumpur, and also hosted by Miss Iman from Finco Negeri Sembilan. So what we
Okay.
did was we asked someone every week. We ask someone from PNB Paribas to read a book to these students. Just read, yeah. So they don't have to answer questions or such. But then the guests would read to them, and then maybe after they read that, they have some questions or they interact with the students just to give them a little exposure. Yeah, exactly like what Miss Sarah has envisioned to us as students. I just want to take my pupils out of the village and like bring, oh, here's someone who is a woman, a lawyer. She's reading to you a book. Yeah, I have an example here. Would you like to?
Yeah, I think
You know,
we all would love to watch it.
this one is on Google Meet. Not all of them are able to join, but then only a few are able, like 4 to 3 of them. So this
Okay.
is Miss Mawali and Miss Iman just now. Yeah. So this one, I think it had quite an impact towards them, even though it's something like very chill. It's just a session of hearing someone to read to you, but then
To you.
and I think it gives some impact to the students because some of the books that we ask them to read are something that inspires them, like a book about Samantha, the girl scientist. So after a few weeks, some of the guests asked one of my pupils, and Kaisara, one of my pupils said, Kaisara, she said, oh, she loves Samantha, the scientist, because she's a girl and she can be a scientist, and one day she wants to be a scientist too. So I think that kind of exposure really is something that I think is really beneficial for them. And I think I hope that I can do more of this in the future. Perhaps something more like Miss Sarah. Yeah, something to take them out of the village and see how other people use it, because English is not something that you only found in the classroom. It's something that you will find everywhere, right?
Well, this is already a great start as well. Well, I think you can see the outcome from your students as well, and giving them that exposure and getting themselves engaged. You're instilling where the values of reading as well. So I think it's a great start, Kyrie, for your students as well. So good job, actually.
Yeah, thank
So
you so much. I hope I can
what
do more.
about you, Rauda?
So I would like to quote Mr. Kyrie. He said that just now English shouldn't be used only in the classroom, but it should be used outside as well. And also Miss Sarah also mentioned that our students should be immersed in the language. So actually, Kiro, this year I have 2 bucket lists for myself. One is to build a reading heart for the students. So I'm gonna leave my account number after this. So if Pinko representative is listening to this, please wire in some money so I can use for the students.
Nice,
I promise
definitely,
it's gonna be used for the students only.
Sharing
And
is caring.
secondly, I'm gonna leave it for real. So secondly, Mr. Arif, our English teacher back in Tampin district, he shared with us with this during our HIP sharing session. He asked us with this remarkable comment. He kind of like a question. How would you feel if one day your kids bring a Russian homeworks to do? So how would you feel? So at that point, he's telling us that you need to educate the parents as well with the language, at least some basic English language. Only then the students can use the language at home and both at school. So yep, I consider it as immersing also. Yeah, 2 bucket lists. One is to build the reading heart. The other one maybe to have a night classes with the parent. Maybe like conducting a small workshop. Just like to reach to the parents.
To your students and your parents. Well,
Yeah.
definitely Definitely, it's I think great efforts coming from all three of you, and wishing you all the best for whatever that you have lined up for the year. And how to say this, Chayo?
We have
Yeah, happy teachers, happy students, happy students.
Yes, correct. Well, thank you very much for your insightful session for today. Well, online teaching has become a hot trend recently. I'm very sure this session has enlightened us. Well, the teachers on how we can plan a lesson so that it has the possibility of succeeding both face to face or live online, and both at the same time if necessary. So I believe this sharing session is going to guide many of us here today to plan our teachings and get our students motivated. Now, without any delay, we shall now continue the webinar with a question and answer session. So are you ready?
Yes.
Well, okay, our first question is from yada yada yada. So what do your pupils feel about learning from home?
I can I share my answer? So basically, again, I'd like to mention that my school has two counselors, and they, as you know, if they're a counselor, they don't have any teaching periods. So they're really throughout this MCO, they're really actively trying to connect to parents and teachers. So they do like different surveys at different time of the MCO, or when we conduct home-based learning. And one of the last ones they did last year was reach out to the kids and conduct like survey, like they could say anything because it was anonymous. And then these two counselors would share the answers of the pupils with the teachers. So we got to see so many things that they wanted to share with the teachers, with the school, maybe that they wouldn't be able to voice out on their own. So there were comments I mean there were comments saying like this teacher gave too much homework, or I'm sad because I don't have a gadget at home. And then what broke my heart was one of these students had a problem with his father losing a job, and he had to not only cope with schoolwork, but he had to cope with thinking about maybe financial problems on
And
behalf
stuff.
of his parents. So yeah,
it's
that's very
scary
sad.
it was a scary time for
Mhm.
parents and pupils, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I can sympathize on your pupils' predicament, and I think it was definitely a setback for everyone. And to me, I think every single teacher is a champion for navigating throughout this MCO last year, and still managed to get pupils to learn and at least learn something. So I think all of us, every single teacher in Malaysia is a champion.
Yeah, we never would have imagined getting into this kind of a situation. Well, I guess it's different from each and every teacher as well. Well, we did have some feedback coming in saying that students actually enjoyed. It was something really new for them, online teaching. For those who were able to, access.
Someone doesn't know how to do it. At least if we can get them to learn just a little bit,
it's already
extraordinary.
a big yes. So well, thank you so much for that question. Moving on to our second question. Now second question is from Kyrie's tryouts.
This is Mr. Arif.
Yes. Well, as a teacher, do you think that the MCO has decreased the effectiveness of your teaching and learning? Anyone would
I think personally is we can't say that it decreased the effectiveness. It's just something like we have to be creative on how to reach the students. I mean, as you see, even on my timeline on Facebook, it was like overflown, you know. My Facebook was overflown with the ideas, with like tutorials, like what Kak Sarah mentioned earlier. Like, everything you can just search and you will find. It's only how would you like adapt and adopt in your current
Correct. Yeah.
situation. Yes.
I think it's up to, individual. How do I say? It's individually. I can't get that
Effort,
word.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's
like
individual.
you have it's something like you have to improvise.
Yeah, because
You need
it's,
to
it's
adapt in
actually
this new
uncharted
situation.
territory, kan? Yeah, it's an uncharted territory. So
Yes,
I think every teacher that I know is trying their best
exactly,
to
exactly.
make sure they deliver and
Deliver
such.
the lesson. Yep.
Well, I
Yeah,
think
so to
based
measure
on my
to measure whether it is effective, I think we have not yet come to that piece yet because it's still new. We don't have like okay, maybe I scrap that.
I
Okay.
think
Well.
I just maybe we shall recognize that everyone's effort. Like yeah, we just
But I
recognize
think
everyone's
based
effort.
on my experience, like I said before, there are pros and cons to having home-based learning as opposed to school learning. So maybe like at school, we're limited to just an hour to the time constraint that we have on the timetable, as opposed to at home, where they are free. I mean, they can do online classes while lying down and at their own pace, at their own time, with the help of their parents. So there are advantages to the effectiveness of the whole teaching and learning
Teaching
process.
and learning.
Yeah,
They do have it. It comes with pros and cons as well. So
yeah.
But Kiro,
commendable.
I found this one like comments on my Facebook feed. It says that technology can't substitute a good teacher. Like, regardless how
How
advanced this
high tech
technology is,
it is.
it can't substitute a good teacher. So again, it falls on us, not the technology. Yeah. But still, we appreciate all the effort.
I think
being
this
forward
is
by the-
where complementing each other comes in. Well, you have
Yeah.
to have a balance, technology as well as the teacher playing their role as well. I mean, having one without the other, it's probably maybe you won't see it as effective as having both. So,
1 hour
well,
and 22 minutes.
I hope that answered your question, Mr. Arif. So, moving on to question 3, if we have.
Last one.
Yep. The third question is from
Nice one.
Melta. And do your pupils tend to avoid tasks and submitting their homework? So actually,
We
how
can't say that they avoid. It's just something that they were in a misfortunate situation that they can't reach. As this is my situation,
okay?
in my situation, it is not they refuse to do they refuse to do homework. It's just something like maybe they can't come to pick the materials from the postcard, or maybe they don't have any gadget at home. It's just something like that's why we need to conduct the survey, I guess, so we know what are the roots of problems.
Yeah,
We
I
can
think
help with that.
And sometimes it's not because they're avoiding it, but maybe
Yeah.
because they haven't seen the message, or their parents are busy at work and the parents haven't seen the message. So sometimes maybe it's just that maybe they got lost. So it's that time that we need to do our part and maybe contact them and ask if they are in need of help, or maybe
True.
if they missed our message, because sometimes it
Yeah.
is that case, like, oh teacher, I'm sorry, I forgot to
they would
tell my
have
son.
probably overlooked.
Yeah, especially if
Um,
they're relying on their parents' gadgets. And sometimes this actually helps encourage parents to actually play a role, because you know, when we sometimes we do, I mean, I think some teachers do this, we list out students who have submitted, and then
yeah, I do that all the
yeah,
time.
so that would trigger some parents and say, oh okay, now you have to do it because like there's 16 of them who have done it.
Submitted. And but I don't do it at how do I say, immediately. Well, I do give my task and then I give them a certain period of time.
Yes.
And if I don't get any feedback from them, then I go looking after and, trying to check on them and see how things are working with them. So yeah, that's how I do it with my students. So, well, thank you so much for.
Yeah, Kira, I would like to
No,
wrap
no,
it
no.
up. It sounds tedious, yet for me it's satisfying and fulfilling. We can sleep at peace at night. So knowing that we have done a very good job the day on the day.
Correct. So, well, thank you so much for all these questions, and I'm pretty sure you did benefit out of this session. So, thank you again to all. Suddenly, I'm blurred. Kejap.
Ari, Mami, this
I
is
parent
Arif.
with two child recovery. So I find this new station to be also a bit challenging.
Wait up.
I'm a parent with two children in primary school. I find
Wait
this
up.
new knowledge.
Last
Oh,
one.
there's another question. Okay.
I
All right.
think
Our last question. Okay.
our last
So-
question.
I thought that we were done with 3 questions.
I think
Okay.
it's very
That's
important to provide emotional support to parents and sometimes new parents. Maybe they are overwhelmed with the task or online classes on top of the work that they have to do. So again, I'm going to give like a lot of praise to my counselors. My counselors, what they do is they share their number and like that the parents can reach out if they have
To
any
them.
problems. Yes, and it can be from financial problems to maybe family problems that they're facing. Maybe the parents are separating and the kids are on the fence. It could also be problems pertaining school, anything that
Yeah.
actually affects the kids directly. And I think it's important maybe for us, maybe we aren't able to provide that emotional support, but you do have school counselors that are able to tackle such problems with such expertise. So I think if maybe your counselors aren't doing this, you may have teachers that you could contact
Reach
or
to, yeah.
reach out to.
I think teachers and parents should have that rapport as well from the beginning itself. So with that, they would be able to communicate better as well, and they'd be able to actually talk it out and share whatever that they have relating to their child or anything to do with school matters as well. So, well, thank you so much for that question. That definitely enlightened all of us. Well, we have come to an end of the question and answer session. So thank you again to the panel for answering the questions, and a very big thank you for joining and sharing with us today. So we hope to see you again for many more sharing sessions. And any last words from any of you?
Thank you very much, Kiru, for the opportunity of coming here and share what we did. I'm very grateful to be put on stage with these amazing teachers, Miss Sarah, Miss Rauda, and also Miss Kiru. Okay, very proud to see all our Negeri Sembilan teachers have been doing their very best in delivering teaching and learning during those uncharted territories of online remote learning. So thank you very much and congratulations to all.
Right. Thank you so much, Kyrie. So anything to add, Sarah?
I would like to thank all the teachers of Malaysia. Never underestimate the power of the
Power.
share button, because everything you share, everything is of benefit. Because I find like everything we learn, I mean, I know we are swamped with all the tutorials and all the posts of sharing, but they really do benefit. And so whatever you're doing, whatever you're sharing, keep doing it.
because I'm
Thanks a lot.
copying.
Okay, so Rauda?
Let's support each other. Let's get back. Don't read any negative comments. Just stay positive and offer the best version of you to your kids. Again, happy kids, happy teachers, happy life.
Happy teachers. I like your tagline, Rauda. So thank you again to all of you. And this marks the end of our webinar for today, ladies and gentlemen. So before, finally, please remember that the recording of the entire webinar will be made available on the Melta Negeri Sembilan chapter YouTube channel and Facebook page. So please share this information with your colleagues and friends as well, so more people can benefit from this session. And we from Melta Negeri Sembilan chapter would like to thank you for would like to thank our wonderful guest speakers today. And thank you for joining us. And we hope that you're able to take away a lot of useful information and new ideas with you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. If you have, never mind. I'll read all this towards the end. Sorry?
Oh, okay. So Kiru
SPL.
back.
Yeah. I would be sharing all that later. Okay. So can we end this live session first?
Okay.